All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to week number 5. That is right, week number 5 of your 7314 class, which is your reference class this summer. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. J.S.K. Austin, and what we are going to do this week is we are going to do a state of the course update. After we do the state of the course update, I am going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Wikipedia edit assignment that you all have due this coming Sunday, and then after that, we're going to talk about three resources that you can use when students have students or other patrons when they have questions about jobs, the job market, that sort of thing. This check-in video will probably take about 45 minutes tops, but the material that I speak about with the job resources is going to be relevant to academic, public, and K-12 librarians. So again, I'm trying to, because the material tends to be so academic, library focused, I do try to make the check-in videos relevant to the public library and the K-12 sector. And so that's why I go over the resources that I do related to job information, career, occupational information, and that sort of thing. So you could have patrons coming into the public library looking for the same type of information as well if they're on the job market. Certainly in K-12, when students in middle school and high school have to write about careers that they want, they can use the databases that I'm about to show you all now in order to find good information on careers that they're looking to go into. So again, this is good for K-12, it's good for public and academics all across the board. But let's go ahead and get into that state of the course update. Give me one moment, pause. All right, so first of all, I hope y'all did enjoy your 4th of July weekend. I worked all weekend on my part-time job, so it wasn't that enjoyable, but still, the fireworks and people's excitement, that was a wonderful thing to see. What you're going to see here is, again, we have coming up this Sunday, you have your next to last discussion board prompt. Discussion board 6 will be due on July the 12th, and then also your Wikipedia edit assignment is coming up due, okay? And then you only have one discussion board prompt left after that. That'll be due on the 26th. Your LibGuide will also be due on the 26th, and you will have your semester-long project due on the 31st, last day of the month. Now, I do want to say when it comes to the LibGuide, first of all, I am going to send out your, I'm not going to wait until next week. I am going to send your LibApps welcome emails out this week, so be paying attention. Pay attention to your inbox when you get it. As soon as you get it, go ahead and sign up, make an account, or verify your account and that sort of thing, and then you can get started whenever. Once you actually get your information, you can go ahead and get started. You don't have to wait until next week. Some of you will probably do the Wikipedia edit assignment within a few hours, and if that's the case, then there's no need to wait in order to get onto the LibGuide. You can go ahead and if you do the Wikipedia edit assignment today, which is Monday, and then you want to start on the LibGuide tomorrow, Tuesday, that is totally fine, okay? So go ahead and again, once, and I'm going to send an announcement out too that I'm starting to work on the registrations, and then I'll send an announcement once they are done. So once I finish creating them, I want you to, this happens every semester to where some people, even when they go into their email immediately and find that LibApps welcome email and sign up, they still are told that their link expired. That's some sort of glitch within the system. I've never known exactly what causes that, but that's some sort of glitch that's not your fault. Don't worry about that, okay? Just go ahead, and if it tells you your link expired, reach out to me and we will troubleshoot it and we will get you an account active, okay? So don't worry about any of that. I am a little behind in grading, again, in part because of a lot of things going on in my personal life, and then also, again, working all weekend and just being tired. I work pretty much every holiday at my part-time job, so it gets kind of draining because I'm always seemingly at one job or the other, or doing one job or the other, okay? So I am behind on grading, but I will be grading those virtual reference assignments this week and trying to get all of those to y'all, back to y'all by Friday, because what I want is for y'all to, on Saturday and Sunday, be able to know if you had errors in your citation in your references list if you made common mistakes that I told you not to make. I want that to be at your attention before you turn in the assignment on Sunday. So I'm going to try to get those back to everybody on Friday. And probably what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to go straight to the reference list of the virtual reference practice papers. And if you made, I'm going to find the people who made those errors first and get their papers back to them first. Okay, and that way they have more time to see that they did it wrong and to correct before the Wikipedia edit assignment is due. All right, so that's pretty much how that's going to go. There will be a little lag as far as me grading the discussion boards because I got to get these papers graded first, and that's a bigger deal. But I'll be grading the discussion boards too, and this is typical during the semesters as well. And unfortunately, things just come up, and so you have to prioritize grading different things at different times, and that's just a thing. But yes, your virtual reference practice paper grades will be coming back to you this week, so hang tight, and those will be on their way. All right. And also, yes, remember that your e-reserve for the course textbook is available. So if you need to access the textbook online or anything like that, you shouldn't have any problems. Again, there is an announcement with that information there, including the password. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the state of the course update. Let's go into that Wikipedia edit assignment, and I'm just going to talk about the assignment very, very quickly. Most of the information you're going to need is in the prompt, but I will also, as always, I will say, hey, if you have any questions, don't feel afraid to reach out to me. Go ahead and reach out to me, ask me whatever questions you have, and I will assist you, as that is my job to do so. So, but this assignment will probably even be a little easier than the virtual reference assignment, and probably a little bit more fun as well. So, what you do is you are going to find a page to edit on Wikipedia. Now, again, it doesn't have to be one of these pages that is saying it needs further resources or anything. Find a topic that you want to talk about or that you want to deal with. If it's your favorite television show, your favorite music band, your high school, your hometown, your hobby, the car you drive, whatever the case may be, find something related to something that you are interested in, okay? And then what you have to do is you basically have to make one substantial edit. Here you go, right here. First of all, you do have some resources in how to edit Wikipedia here, and there are going to be some tutorials on YouTube and things like that, and it's okay for you to use those tutorials as well. What should your edit include? Your edit should include, you should make one major edit, well, at least one major edit, and add at least one reference. Your edit should contribute substantial information and meaningful substance. The information you add should not be trivial, and if you, actually I am requiring this, you need to require the screenshots. You will need to submit the screenshots that document the change that you made. So I will change the wording there. So yes, you can make more than one edit if you want, or you can just have one substantial edit, but a lot of students actually make a series of edits or add a whole section or something like that, but also make sure that the source that you are using is credible in some way. It doesn't necessarily have to be a library source or an academic source or a scholarly source or anything like that, but make sure it's credible. You don't just want to plug in something off of a Reddit page or something like that. So even if you have like for instance, even if you did something on your high school and you pulled the information from the school district's website by no means is an academic source or anything like that, but still it's an authoritative source because they know what they're talking about. All right, so and if you have questions about whether a source is going to be acceptable, again, just ask me. So this paper is going to have two components. Please turn them in one file if possible. You do the Wikipedia edit. So again, track that revision, submit the screenshots, that sort of thing, and then also report the report and edit reflections. So I do want you to reflect on what you did. And again, if you can put this all in one file, I'd appreciate it. If you want to just put the URL on the URL for the revisionist page on the paper, like in the appendices or toward the beginning or something like that. It just needs to be there. I read the paper, so I'll find it. Report and edit and reflections. You should include a one-page write-up that documents and summarizes the changes you made, what you learned, and what you learned about Wikipedia culture and editing, and then also librarians and scholars relationship with Wikipedia. Okay, so that should be part of your paper, and then the other part of your paper should include reflection that indicates that you reflected on information seeking habits and information communication to end users. This reflection should demonstrate that you were thinking about how to communicate information to end users in the most effective way possible, including discussing differences among end users and their information seeking habits. So for instance, you may have a page that for one reason or another causes you to note that there is a difference maybe between how children and adults seek information. And so those would be two types of end users, children as end users, and then adults as end users. And you can kind of talk about something. It doesn't have to be anything mind-blowing, but it can be something as simple as, the information that I had in one of my sources used really dense, highly technical language, and I knew that children might be reading this, so I kind of toned the language down for the sake of that end user. I use simpler words and vocabulary and that sort of thing. If you do something like that, that is exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about that element of the assignment. Okay. So please also note this, double space and 12-point font for readability. Do an essay style assignment, and I will be looking for proper APA use. Do not turn in, I repeat, do not turn in Q&A style. I want essay style. Please turn in the report and reflection as one document. You can use headings and subheadings to break things up, and then also please use first person when appropriate, so you can call yourself, you can say I did this, I did that. You don't have to say the student did this, the student did that. All right, and then we do have a rubric that we are going by here. So our rubric is what you will be evaluated on is that your edit contributed substantial information to the source. Your edit is clearly marked and apparent, including references and changes to text. So your screenshots really should take care of that. Includes one-page documentation of the changes made within the reflection, demonstrates reflection of communicating information to end users, and demonstrates reflection on diverse information needs of end users. So you can get a total of 13 points here, and I do hope that everybody gets those 13 total points, so we will see. All right, so that is pretty much it with the Wikipedia edit assignment. Again, it's not going to be something that's going to require a lot of your time. The big lion's share assignments, as far as your time is concerned, are going to be the LibGuide, which I grade the LibGuides more leniently in the summer than I do in the spring and fall because you have less time. And then also the semester-long project, okay, which you should have been working on all summer, okay? And if you haven't started on the semester-long project, now is definitely the time to do it because you have a month left. All right, so that is pretty much it for those things. If you have any questions, reach out to me, or you can also use the Q&A, the questions thing in the discussion area, that right there, questions, comments, and news. You can also leave that there. All right, so that is it for this component of the video. If you want to, you can take a break now, and then after you rejoin, we will talk about these common job resources that you need to be aware of. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some job resources. We are going to go over three things. I'm actually going to access them through the public library that serves me, which is Mid-Continent Public Library, but we are going to go over three things: Ferguson's Career Guidance Center, Gale's Vocations and Careers, and then I am also going to take you to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, which has a lot of helpful information information as well. Actually, it would take a whole course to teach the entire Bureau of Labor Statistics website, because there's so much information on that that can be helpful. And certainly, I have forgotten most of what that website has to offer, but I am going to hit some of the highlights to information that's going to be the most practical to a lot of your patrons who may have more common and more regular needs, that types of questions that you're going to see more than once every blue moon, if that makes sense. So we're going to talk about these 3 resources, and again, this will probably take about 30 minutes to get through this. Speed this up, but unsped, it'll take about 30 minutes to get through. And these are resources that you find at most public libraries that I'm familiar with, and then some academic libraries as well. And then K-12, I'm not exactly sure it's going to be hit and miss. But I will say, in saying that it's going to be hit and miss, I will say that a lot of K-12 students will come into the public library. So it's not really a no-no. For one thing, it's not really a no-no unless you're told it's a no-no by your boss, if you're a K-12 librarian, to pull some of the public library resources and use those to assist students. But if you are told that's a no-no, don't do it. But if you're not told it's a no-no, public libraries don't tend to have much of a problem with that. But then also, you can refer your students to the public library, and the public library can assist them. The public libraries are going to be aware of these resources generally. So let's go ahead and make me small. We're going to start out with the Gale Vocations and Careers database. And this is what you are going to want to use when you are actually, let me pause this so you're not waiting for this thing to log me in. Okay, so this database has more of an academic component to it. This one isn't so much the database that you're going to use. Now, you can use it. You can use it for when your public library patrons are coming in and they're looking for information on job trends and things like that. They're trying to figure out what careers to go into, what fields not to go into, etc., etc. But Ferguson's is going to be a little better for that. And then the Bureau of Labor Statistics website is also going to be a little better for that. What this excels at is when you have students who are actually like trying to write papers, and they don't necessarily have to be college students, so it's not necessarily just for academic libraries. This can be for the K-12 library experience as well, or for K-12 students. A lot of times you do have middle schoolers and high schoolers who are required to write essays about the jobs that they want to go to and that sort of thing, or the careers that they want to have and that sort of thing. So this works for those types of patrons. So if you get one of these types of patrons, here's what you are going to want to do. If they say, hey, I need 10 resources about this job that I want, you can find that very easily on Gale Vocations and Careers. Okay, and here's how you would do it, just as a quick example. Now again, and I say this every video, but these videos that I make here, they are not actual tutorials. They are sort of introductions to the resource, and in order to get good at the resources, what you need to do is practice on them and then also watch some tutorials about them. Okay, but this is going to get us started, so hold on. All right, so as far as how we get in here and do this, I would recommend going to the advanced search. Now, one thing that I'm also going to say is that these advanced tools down here, the topic finder, subject search guide, and publication search, you really aren't going to need those most of the time. Not for this resource, you're just not. There are going to be times when the advanced features within a database are going to be essential to getting your patrons to the actual information that they are truly going to need in order to pull off what they're going to do. In this case, I've not found that, yes, these resources are neat, and so if you want to learn how to use if you want to learn how to use them successfully, then go ahead and watch a tutorial. But I will say that I was able 100% of the time to use this database without ever using these things in order to make the search better. So I'm not going to spend time on those, but I am going to let you know they exist. A topic finder basically gives a bit of a cluster so that you it kind of clusters the topics a little bit. So if you do have something that's related to like dental hygiene, you know, there's going to be like dentistry, and then it's going to cluster a few other things like things like nutrition, because that can be related to dentistry. Things like medicine and insurance, they might get clustered to a lesser degree because they still have some tangential relevance to the topic. But again, a lot of times you're able to just put in search terms and get exactly what you need without going there, okay? And then when it comes to publication search, very few people search by publication in this particular database. You can do it if you want, but there's really not much of a need to. And then subject guide search, that's when you can use controlled vocabulary and get certain quite a few terms umbrellaed into one particular term and search that way. So if you want to learn more about that, then just go ahead and found some tutorials for this database, but what we're going to do is go to the trusty old advanced search, and this will get you through most of the time. So again, let's say for this, I like using a dental hygienist as an example. I don't really know. I don't know why I'm drawn to that, but that is what I am. I don't know, it's what works for me most of the time. So I'm just going to put in dental hygiene like that with a truncation symbol. The truncation symbol, what that will do is it will find anything that starts with this root word and search word at the same time. So it'll find dental hygiene, dental hygienist, so forth and so on. You can actually leave things as a keyword in this database much of the time, and it's not going to get you too much stuff that's off topic. And I'm actually going to leave this stuff alone right here. The good thing about this database is a lot of your relevant information is going to be there with full text. So I'm going to go ahead and leave full text checked. There are going to be some databases such as Academic Search Premier, CINAHL, and some others to where you're going to have a lot of stuff that doesn't have the full text in the database. And so you're going to want to leave full text unchecked so that you still get those returns, and then you can use interlibrary loan or something like that in order to locate the information. But in this case, most of the pertinent information, most of the relevant information is going to be right there in the database, okay? So, and I'm going to leave all dates selected, document type. I'm not going to mess with any of that. I'm just going to hit search from here. And what you will see is I've got a lot of returns, and everything here is going to be full text because I've got full text checked. So as you can see, I've got almost 2,000 magazine sources. I've got over 4,000 academic journal sources, and then I've got 268 news sources. I also do have images and videos. I don't worry about those things quite as much. What I am going to do, since I've got so many things, I am going to limit I am going to limit 10 years. A lot of times you will see students that have like a 10-year or a 5-year limit or something like that. So let's go ahead and limit this to 10 years just so that we can, again, limit our resources and get the most up-to-date information. So you'll see these numbers go down once I put this limiter on and filter the results a little bit. So we'll hit apply. And so there, yeah, we've gone down significantly. We now have 425 magazine sources, academic journal sources, almost 2,000, and then about 50 news sources there. You can further limit things over here, but I'm not going to mess with that right now. I'm satisfied with what I've got going on here. So what you can do from here is just basically, now I am going to leave it at a relevance search, okay? One thing that I would recommend that you all be aware of is that K-12 students are not going to generally need the academic journal sources. And in fact, for K-12 students, for middle and high school students, these things will be overkill. So if you're dealing with a K-12 student, they're not even going to understand what an academic resource is, what a scholarly journal is. So you wouldn't need to even click this tab a lot of times for your K-12 students. But if you have college students, then they may need this information here. But I am going to pretend that I am working with a middle schooler or a high schooler, so I'm going to stick with magazines and news. And so I'll keep it over here in the magazines tab. And what you can do when you find something that you think might be helpful, first of all, look at these word counts, because a lot of times these smaller word counts are not going to be helpful. So 58 words, probably not helpful. 75 words, probably not helpful. These brief articles here. And if you're seeing too many of those, which I am seeing a lot of that, then you can come back over here and go to your document type. And I'll just go ahead and do that now. I'm going to get rid of the brief articles and look for articles. I'm going to hit apply there. That's going to take me down to 185 things, but everything here has substantial information. So, or has at least a substantial word count. So I've got this here, and let's say that this does look like something. You get a little preview here, and let's say that this does look like something I might be interested in. What I can do is I can go ahead and click the title, and I get my full text right there. Now, sometimes you will also have your PDF available. It doesn't look like I've got that in this case, so but that's okay. I still have my full text here. I've even got an image here. And then if this is something that looks like it's going to be useful, then what you can do is a lot of times you might just download it, or you might print it, send an email, cite it. Well, not cite it. Let's ignore that one. Sorry about it. But download, send to by email, get a link, and create a document with a bunch of links. Whatever you need to do to keep track of the articles that you get. But yes, you can go ahead and save these and just recall them later, and then you will also have the information that you need for citing. Most of that information is going to be up here. So you've got your date. You're going to have the publisher here. This is the name of the periodical that it's from, Access, Volume 31, Issue 3. You are going to have a word count and an article type. I don't have an author here, it looks like. So let me go back just to show. A lot of these are coming out of Access. Oh, but we do have authors for some of them as we scroll down. So if we scroll down, let's take a look at this one. So this one we actually do have an author as well. So we've got Michelle Brearman, I guess is how you pronounce that. And so yes, having the author information will come in handy as well, of course, when you are building your references list or your works cited page or whatever, depending on the citation style that you are using. Okay, so you've got all of that information, and always also remember that, yes, you can generate a sample citation, but these are only what is generated is typically only correct 80% of the time, and as you can see, this is wrong if you've been following along, because dental and hygienist should be lowercase in APA. So there you go. And yeah, this is basically how this is the nuts and bolts of how this database works. It's really not that complicated, so you can get in there and you can play around with it. And yeah, we are going to now go to Ferguson's, but you've got the basics of what one file does, and you can build up a reference list very, very quickly in this database. So let's pause and move on to Ferguson's, and I'll show you what that does. All right, so the second database that we're going to be looking at is going to be Ferguson's Career Guidance Center. So Ferguson's Career Guidance Center, we are in here right now. This is what our homepage looks like, and what Ferguson's is really good at is helping people to understand occupational outlook, and BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, is going to have some overlap in that regard. But what you can do, you're going to see basically four main categories here. You can explore careers, plan your education, prepare for your career, and find a career. And I'm going to tell you, really, for practical purposes, now again, if you want to watch some tutorials and really see how this database works and how to master it, you are welcome to do that. But for practicality's sake, I am going to tell you that what really is the bread and butter of this resource is this right here, the Explore Careers. These other things, not so much when it comes to find a career. Job postings, it is nice to have this job postings feature, but you can find job postings on LinkedIn. You can find them all over the internet and that sort of thing. Prepare for your career. There are a lot of books out there. Don't get me wrong, if you want to use this resource for building cover letters and resumes, it is good for that. But you will also find a lot of books, and again, just a lot of things online that also teach you how to build a great resume, how to build a great cover letter, etc., etc. As far as interviewing, networking, and workplace skills, these are things that can be read up on, but these are things that I think you have to learn by experience more so as well. You have to get out there and kind of mingle, especially you have to learn what the do's and don'ts are in your field, because there are things that you can talk about, for instance, in librarianship when you were networking, that you would not necessarily talk about when you are trying to network within media, which I used to work as a newspaper reporter. So in media or in teaching or in law enforcement or various other things. Okay, so I think that a lot of these things come with experience and come with knowing the field that you're going to be in. And then when it comes to planning your education, yes, you can find some information about financial aid here, but I think a lot of times it's best to reach out to the financial aid office. School search can be decent, but again, a lot of times you can just Google the school and learn some information about the schools that way. Um, or just Google what schools offer this program and get returns there. So these things can be useful, but there are a lot of times Mr. Google unfortunately just really gets you what you need without doing all of this. But again, go ahead and watch some tutorials if you like and master the database if you want, because it does not hurt to be a master of the database. What we're going to do right now though is we are going to go into these main two, and then I'm going to talk just a little bit about these second two things here. But the main things that we want to look at are if you're researching industries and browsing professions. So let's go into research industries first. So what this can do, if you they've got the feature industries here. What I like to do is go to all industries. And then what you can do is within an industry, you will find information about the various careers within that industry. Let's go ahead and I can't remember now what they have librarianship under. Do they have it? Let's see. Got that. Okay, under education. All right. So let's say that you wanted to do education, and let's say you wanted to do our field, library and information services. You could click this here. And what you get is you get a nifty little overview page, and then you have a table of contents here. You can view the full article at once, but otherwise you can tab between your various table of contents items. So you can start with your overview. Next, you can go into some background information. You get plenty of background information there. From there, you get the structure of how things are basically structured. So in the sense of library science, what this is talking about is, how fast the industry is growing, which also they speak about that in the industry outlook a little bit more. But then how people are organized. They talk about public and academic and other types of libraries, and then they talk about what people do within those different libraries. So you get a little bit of overview there, and then from there you can get the industry outlook, whether or not things are growing or stable or declining and that sort of thing, and then you get learn more. Okay, so learn more, this includes some key terms that you have to be familiar with if you are going to be successful in librarianship practice, and also how these terms or concepts, you get a little briefing on how they affect the job. So for instance, all of you know what the internet is, but this will give you some information on how the internet is going to be relevant to learning about library lingo and that sort of thing and library services. So it is good to also know your key organizations. So the American Library Association, as you all know, is the big one, and then you have so many subdivisions within the American Library Association, including, again, PLA, the Public Library Association, the ACRL Association of College and Research Libraries, blah, 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 blah. But then you get some other things going on as well. American Society of Information Science and Technology, or ACES. That's a pretty cool, for those of you who are going to be more on the technical side, this is a very cool organization to belong to. American Association of Law Libraries, that's highly relevant, and that they are not part of ALA. If you see somebody here, they are not part of ALA, so they are independent of ALA. ACES is independent of ALA, as is the Association of Independent Information Professionals. ARL is independent. Medical and Music Library Associations are independent. I believe, for some reason I thought SLA was part of ALA as well, as a division, but I guess not. So there you go. SLA, they are based in New Jersey, and I guess they are not dependent on ALA, so I apologize for not knowing that, but we can all learn together. So this is what you get when you research industries and that sort of thing, but then again, this is for industries and not particular careers. So if you're looking for information on particular careers, that's when you can come to Browse Professions. And you have feature professions And a lot of times, well, always the featured professions come with little helpful videos where they kind of interview. These are short, but they interview somebody who is within that profession, and they give you some uh, just some basic information and that sort of thing. So it's a great way to, I guess, get your feet wet, get a little bit of multimedia content and that sort of thing. Hear from somebody who actually does it. Um, but we're going to go to all professions. And there are many, many, many professions. There are that they have listed here. They have over 1,200 professions, and we will just again go into librarianship. So we'll hit the L here and load more. Actually, I do see the library stuff there, but I'm going to go ahead and load however much they've got there. We've got librarians. If you see this little icon, then that means you have one of those little helpful videos. You can go in, and again, you get librarian, you get the information here. Quick Facts is very, very useful. So for Quick Facts, you get things like median salary, the minimum education level. Typically, most states require the master's degree, not all, but most. School subjects will include library science, which is what you're doing now. But in undergrad, a lot of librarians were either in history or English, computer science if they were tech librarians. I mean, if they're tech librarians of some sort, IT librarians of some sort. A lot of times they did computer science in undergrad and those sorts of things. But you're not limited to those. And certainly you will find in your librarianship career, you will find people who did undergrad of all types. You'll find people who had engineering and science and all sorts of things within their undergrad degree. A lot of the social sciences as well, sociology, criminology, criminal justice, all the various things. Okay. Alternate titles, you're going to have a lot in our field. The work is primarily done indoors, and there are librarians all over the country. Duties, this is outdated. To find books, I guess that's still, but other information. I wish they would have just said information including books or something like that, because a lot of times you are not helping people find particular books, you are helping them find information in other formats. Outlook is about as fast as average, so we are not growing particularly fast, but we are growing. Okay. And so that is a good thing. You will hear a lot of people who have not looked at any resources tell you that libraries are on the decline. They said it when microfiche came out. They said it when the internet came out. They said it when social media came out. And now they are saying it with the emergence of AI. And every single time that they predict the death of libraries, they are wrong. So don't even let them get you down. They haven't done the research themselves. They are just making assumptions. Skills that you do need organizational skills, computer skills, people skills. A lot of times if you're going to be working as a reference librarian, which that's what this course is about, information management skills, that sort of thing. There is licensing and certification required generally that is fulfilled by your master's degree. Career ladder, a lot of people start as library assistants, then they go to technicians, and once they get the education, they become librarians. And then a lot of people get into at least mid-management, and then you become if you get into mid-management, then you become something of a manager or that sort of thing, and then you might become a director or a consultant. The employment prospects are good, and the advancement prospects are good. Okay, so that's the stuff with the quick facts. But then again, you can view the full article at once, but this full article is pretty long, so I would recommend just going through the table of contents. And so again, this can be useful for your students as well if they're writing a paper and they have to have the history. You get some history here, and then you get some information about the job itself. Then you get into earnings, what people can expect to make. You get a little rundown there, and these things are pretty consistent no matter which profession you're actually looking at within the database. Your work environment, you get a little synopsis of what people are doing in the work environment, exploring this job. This is how you do it. Education and training requirements. So again, within our field, if you want to be a librarian, usually if you want to have librarian rank, you're going to need that master's degree. But if you want to be a technician, usually a lot of times all you're going to need is that high school diploma, certification, and that sort of thing. And some states do require certification. You do need, for instance, I'm from North Carolina. I do have a North Carolina public librarian certification, and you do need that to be a public librarian in North Carolina, especially experience, skills, and personality traits. You get that information there, what types of skills you need. You do want to have, again, interpersonal skills and tact and patience, especially if you are working a public services desk. Employment prospects, this is always something that people are something that people find important. They a lot of times don't want to go into fields with poor employment prospects. They want to go into fields where the jobs are going to be bountiful and plentiful. And advancement prospects, you'll get that information as well. The outlook, the Bureau of Labor Statistics from the Department of Labor, they do find that this is a field that is expected to grow at least through 2033. So again, don't let people convince you that the library field is downsizing and you can't find jobs in it. That's not the case. You might need to be willing to move and relocate, but you can find jobs in this field. Okay, unions and associations, you get that information, and then tips for entry. Okay, all right, so that is pretty much how that works. Now, if we were to go back home, two other things that are very helpful here is, first of all, career assessment. I'm sure everybody has at some point taken one of these little career assessment tests. There is a 60-question test and a 30-question test, but you can take the test and then get some information on what careers, you get some feedback on what careers may be the most appropriate for you based on how you scored on that test, and then find a career path. This is, again, a little bit of pathfinding information, if you will, and it's going to kind of give you just some, I would say that this is more like reflection and self-discovery, and it helps you to just kind of determine what career paths might be the best for you and that sort of thing. Okay, and there's certainly some prep, some helpful videos there and that sort of thing, and all of this again is free with your library card in your library membership. All right, we're going to go to bls.gov very quickly, and then we're going to wrap up. So I hope I don't spend more than about 5 minutes on this. We'll see. Okay, so let's go to bls.gov. We're going to go there, and this brings us to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. And basically, there's a lot of information on this site, and I do mean a ton of information on this site. Again, it would take a whole course just to, like a whole 16-week course to get through everything that's on here and mastering this particular website. Okay, that's just how information rich it is. So a lot of times it's your data librarians, people who are specifically data librarians who really know this website and they specialize in it, and then you would refer a lot of patron inquiries to this website. That's pretty much how it works a lot of the times. All right, but we're going to go ahead and make me small here, and I am going to show you, I don't think I want to show you data tools. What do I want to show you? Hold on, I'm going to pause while I find. Okay, yes, so what we're going to go into is going to be this Occupational Outlook Handbook. So if you go to Publications and go to Occupational Outlook Handbook, this information is going to be a lot like what we just saw in Ferguson's, but this is free over the internet. Anybody can access it. You don't need a library login or anything like that. So that's where, again, if you don't have access to Ferguson's, this is definitely a way to get pretty much the same information. But what we can do is I am going to go to librarianship again. Now there are some neat things that are coming out of here. First of all, we do have occupation groups here. And so again, if you go into education, you have educational instruction and library jobs. So people who are good fits for this type of field, they would, if it doesn't work out for you as far as being a librarian, you may be able to transition into one of these other fields, be it being a teacher or being an archivist, being a museum worker, or those sorts of things, okay, being tutors, all of those things, okay. But let's go back. I am going to go back into libraries. Well, no, let me go into, actually, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm actually gonna, sorry about this, I feel a little rusty right now. Actually, I am going to browse in a second, but one thing that I did want to also show you is that This is neat right here when you're browsing occupations. Of course, you can look for highest paying, but a lot of times those are going to be things that the people who are looking into getting into the highest paying occupations a lot of times just aren't coming into the library to get that information. To be honest with you, they've got some foot in the door or they're already well on their way. But let's say you are browsing occupations and people are wanting to know, okay, what are the fastest growing fields or what fields are going to have the most jobs available and that sort of thing. That's when you can come over here. So let's say you wanted most new jobs and that sort of thing. Home health and personal care aides. It's going to be a lot of that coming up on the horizon, okay? And so, yeah, if somebody might decide, oh yeah, I want to go into home health because I know that there are going to be employment opportunities there, or I want to go to culinary school because there are going to be opportunities there. So you see all this, and again, these are just, awesome things to know, especially when you're dealing with patrons who are like, man, I just got to find a job somewhere. How do I get a job somewhere? This is how they can get their foot in the door. All right. Okay. Now, what you can do as far as a free-form search, now you can select, you can use these little things to find various types of jobs and everything too, but I'm not going to, again, this is something that you can just get in and play around with, but if you want to do the free-form search, that is actually up here. So let's say I want to put in for a librarian. Oh, no. Okay, sorry. Librarian. Good. All right. And I don't know why I'm getting that. Okay, hold on for a second. All right, so there was that extra text that was right there. You may have saw. Once I deleted that, I got to where I wanted to be. So now I get into librarians and media specialists, library media specialists, and again, it's going to be a lot of that similar information and a lot of that same toggling as well. So, you can use these to toggle. Let's say somebody wants to get straight to the pay. You got the median pay information around here, $64,000 per year. But if you hit that right there, then you can see all of this additional information here. And so you get this information on pay and that sort of thing. And then you can go back. So before pay was the how to become one tab, and you'll see that right there. How do you do it? This will tell you exactly what you need to, the skills you need to have, the education you need to have, if you need to have licensing and things like that. So again, this is good information to have in order to, again, direct people to occupations that may suit them in occupations that are going to have growth opportunities and that sort of thing. Similar occupations, this is something that is a little easier to see, and it takes us back to what I just showed you earlier. This is a little easier to recognize in BLS than it is in Ferguson's, and then you can click that information. So if you see, for instance, archivist or museum worker, okay, let me click into that and go in, and you see this information here, and that works there. Okay, what they do, work environment, how to become one, pay, all the things. All right, and so yes, if you want to learn more about the Bureau of Labor Statistics site, then again, I would recommend going on YouTube and trying to find a little tutorial video, and the tutorial video should help you just find exactly what information is on BLS.gov and how you access that information and what that information is useful for. So again, it would take a whole course to teach you everything that's on this site. And we're not going to do that today because we are just doing kind of an overview, and the overview is over. Thank you for spending this time with me. I am Dr. Jace, and you are more than halfway done with this race. Keep going. You all are doing fantastic. Love y'all. Love having you in the class. Until next week.